E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e o nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e o nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e o nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai O ke io o nā akua o nā auma kua mahalo a nui loa i ke ia la u ia me ia nā pō mai kai aloha nui wau i o ko ohana o hane. Mahalo.
Beautiful goddesses on the shores of this lagoon, washed up like mermaids, like starfish. The earth here, the sand, the salt, the praise of the goddess. Sink into this moment, feeling in your center, feeling the resonance of the elements, you with the elements and the elements with you. Breathing deeply this air full of life, full of light, as you continue to kindle your own inner flame higher and higher. The flame of the goddess burning within you in the altar of your heart, here in paradise. What better place to recognize who you are, where you've come from, and who you have become.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. We are still in Crete, in Greece, and the group sits on a beach. A beautiful lagoon with your feet in the sand, the rocks, the water. It is a beautiful time to relax and to review a little bit of what we've said and to continue a self-introspection. There's no better place than Gaia for this. You're outside of that which is man-made. You have only the elements before you. And that is what we wish to speak of. You with the elements and with the systems we have begun to discuss. Let us continue where we left off. In the last message, we asked you if you believed in a grand system that revolved around you. Then we ask you if part of this system would be the possibility that you'd lived before. We went through this carefully, and we ask you to do introspection and literally ask yourself, yes or no, do you feel you have been here before? Each one of you will have a different answer, because not all will be able to say a firm yes or no. There will be some who say, I think so, and some who will say, I'm not sure. This is the way it works with the growth of enlightenment and the maturity of spirit. Do not be upset or frustrated if you cannot say a resounding yes. However, yet again, I will remind you that the very focus of this group is to remember who you were and to celebrate that which is not only your gender as a shamanic energy, but also in your past lives. It's personal. So you get to the place where we left off. We talk about a grand system that you planned for yourself. Very difficult to believe that. But we say, indeed, if you want to know what the hand of the Creator has for you, all you have to do is get in touch with your higher self. For your higher self is part of the creative source, just like you are, and you had a firm hand in planning the potential that you would sit here today, that you would listen to this, that you would feel the goddess within. I speak to the group now. How is it with you? Through all of these channelings and these experiences, have you felt the bonding of spirit? More than just friends. Have you felt the bonding of the God inside? That famous greeting, Namaste, where you say, I greet the God in you. My God greets the God in you. And so we go to the next level, and we ask the next question. And now it gets harder, because now we have to identify another system. And I wish to ask you more questions. If you believe you have lived before, if you had a plan on who you would be, the gender, and where you would end up on the earth, if you stirred that all in with karmic purpose, then there is something more. Now let us talk about the record of your lives. Now this is more difficult. We have told you many times that each of you carries around the record of every single life you have ever lived. In addition, it's not just facts, it's emotion. It's everything that you felt and learned. It's all the talents that you had. Listen, it's even both genders. Now we're going to speak of that in just a moment. So it's called the Akashic Record. It is indeed inside you, at the corporeal and multidimensional level, which is your DNA. Your DNA, biologically, is completely and totally unique. There is no accident, for in the chemistry itself lies the Akashic Record. It doesn't matter how many lifetimes you've been here, there's plenty of space for every single thing that you have experienced and learned and lived. Is there a system? Now, dear ones, there are many belief systems that talk about the reality of the Akash. But in these belief systems, there's no real guidance on how it works, other than karmic. Let me tell you how it works. This may be new information for some. Human beings tend to put things in a row. They put them in boxes and label them and assign value, sometimes even hierarchy. So there are many who feel that if they could go into the Akashic library of their soul, it would be like a library, many books, and each book would be a representation of a life. There could be more than 1,000 books. What if there could be 10,000 books? You've been here a very, very long time, and many of you have lived very short lives. So how many books would there be? But as you view them, you can see perhaps the edge of the book would be your name and perhaps even a year of birth. This is how you envision the library which you call the Akashic Record. To add to this, many of you believe it's a random occurrence today how you react to it. Some of you feel it, but you don't know what it is or why it is. It's almost like you walked around the library and occasionally a book would fall off the shelf and hit you in the head. That's what you feel. Random completely. Dear ones, does it make sense to you that the elegance of the entire thing would have no purpose or system? Your Akashic Record is there for a grand reason. Now, in an older energy, with a less elegant DNA, the Akashic Record was there to prod you and push you and complete projects or emotions, and that was called karma. We told you 25 years ago that you could drop your karma, that it was no longer needed. You might ask yourself, why do I need an Akashic Record if there's no more karma to push and pull me around? Now it gets good. Dear ones, there is an elegant system that starts to be used now. The whole reason for the Akashic Record is a well of knowledge that the old souls have lived. Now, let's talk about the books for a moment. I have to tell you, to drop all of the visions that you might have of what the Akashic Record looks like, it is not linear. It is not even organized. Not really. Think of it as a well of knowledge and a soup, and every single book and every year is stirred into this so that it's all one soup. It's all one energy. And each lifetime you live goes into that soup, not as a year or a gender or anything else, but a well of information and knowledge that you need as a human being. I want to show you the reality of this. Goddesses, I'm going to ask you a question that may be an internal one. How many of you regularly have dreams where you're a man? And the answer is very few. Most of visions, Akashic remembrances, and dreams that you have are in your own gender. It is you in the past, perhaps even in the future, navigating the energy of the planet as a woman. Now, what are the odds that this would be random? I'm going to give you a term that I've never talked about before. We're going to call it Akashic intelligence. Your Akash is run or managed by your innate. And your innate is part of what is your higher self. The innate is body intelligence. It's the part that you muscle test. It's the part that responds to homeopathy. And it's the part that will start to give you Akashic knowledge as you need it. This is an elegant system of Akashic energy delivery. You are about ready to start receiving the knowledge that you need from the past, which is needed today. Now, what did I tell you that most of you have in common? And that is shamanship. Times on this planet where you had spiritual leadership, you knew how things worked, you were healers, not just life givers. You knew the chemistry. You knew the herbology of the planet. That's why you love to hug a tree. There is an affinity you have with Earth. Dear ones, this is your lineage. Does it make sense that now this wisdom and this knowledge would start being delivered back to you? Question. Kryon, I would love to receive what I actually have lived through and earned. If it's inside me, how can I bring it forward? I will tell you this. It happens multidimensionally through intuition. Now, as a goddess, what have you been told on this planet? Which gender features better intuition? It's you. This should start making sense. Therefore, the things that you need gradually to move ahead on this planet, to solve the problems that you have, especially, are you ready? With self-worth. And that is the big issue with all of you. Every single one. You are still stuck in living an old energy, the issues of the old, and that is what you're used to having dragged up in your visions, in your dreams, in your frustrations. Before you go to bed tonight, I have a suggestion. I would love you to control your dreams, to control your intuition. And that is done by you affirming to your own body, tonight I will receive only the things that are magnificent and beautiful that I need. If there are any things delivered that seem to be dark or frustrating, let me see and identify them as something I am clearing now. There is so much here for you. As you walk this planet and you start to understand your purpose and the interaction you have with other humans, it should be more and more comfortable. As you solve the self-worth issues, there is a soup of knowledge that is so big for you. It is sitting there with all of the experience of so many lifetimes. Both genders are there, but the ones that are being delivered to you intelligently and wisely by your innate are the female ones, the ones that you needed the most. Does it make sense to you that inside you is not some linear library, but a beautiful well of spiritual knowledge and experience that goes way beyond anything you've had in this lifetime? That is a grand system that surrounds you. Now, those who are listening to this, I tell you this is good for both genders. For the men dream of things they did as men, and they solve the issues and the problems they have as men. There is no accident. It is designed this way. That is Akashic intelligence. There'll be more. But for now, I want you to think on these things. There is a succinct, grand, beautiful, elegant plan. It has your name on it. It has your name on it. Don't think for a moment that any of this is random. And so it is.
Can everyone hear? Yes? Okay. Let's do some cleansing breaths. The 4. Honi, pu, ha. Honi, pu, ha. Honi, pu, ha. Honi, pu, ha. O ke io o nā akua, ona auma kua. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ho nā mea huna no e au. Ho nā mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ho nā mea huna no e au, ho nā mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ho nā mea huna no e au, ho nā mele, e ho mai. E ho mai, e ho mai,
As the light from above shines down into this place, feel your own light shining from inside to outside. Feel your light filling this place. Feel the light of the goddess bring healing, bring the tenderness of a mother to the hearts of all those who were lost here, and the many, many generations who have come to honor them as we honor them. Put your hand on your heart, please, and feel that light inside there. Feel your own light. Feel it pouring through you in this place that is sacred, in this place that has become a place of pilgrimage, not just a geographic wonder, but a place of sanctuary. And feel that in your heart being your own sanctuary, the place where your own light grows, where you can come back to time and time again, to feel the love of God and Goddess inside of you in every way, but coming forth from that light in your heart.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. For those listening, or perhaps reading later, the group stands in Crete in a cave, an immense cave, where a great deal has taken place. There has been worship here, mythology, sorrow, death, and clearing. There's even been celebration. You are not the first group to come to this place and try to wipe away the sorrow that may have occurred here. But that's not the only thing that occurred here. Through the ages, there has been much energy spent in celebration and even worship. You might say that this cave really represents an old human nature. In some ways, it represents a search for God. In other ways, it represents the lineage of brutality that humans have had for humans in the old energy. As you exit this cave, I want you to look back at it. And I want you to realize something. That the lineage of human nature is not going to be like this for long. You are witnessing on this planet the end of bullies. You are witnessing that which is so startling to many. You're actually going to be able to see dark and light so differently now than you ever did before. It seems that for eons, all humanity has done is to conquer one another and kill one another. My partner took me to a place much different, a high mountain of Masada. And there was the same thing, conquering, killing, self-sacrifice, sorrow, grief, and death. This is the old human paradigm which is going to pass from you. And when you look back at the cave, you might take a moment and smile, looking at history that will not repeat itself like this. You are on a course of a graduate human being. Before we end this short channel, I have to tell you that there are so many questions about the human Akash. This is a cave. We have told you that the human Akash is so important. The record of what humans have been through in their journey of involvement is so important that it has to be stored in several places. One of them is in your DNA. One of them is in what we call the cave of creation. It's nothing like this, dear ones, but it is a cave. And the third one we've told you about, that we may then extend the message soon, is that your Akash is also carried by the whales of the planet. 3 places carry the human experience record. And you may say, why? And now I'm going to tell you. Because this is the only and newest planet of free choice. Your Akashic seeds are not just of this planet. You carry the Akashic seeds of the galaxy. Those who seeded you first, it's inside you. Their experience is inside you. That means, dear ones, that the Akashic record of this planet is the Akashic record of the galaxy. It is protected and will survive, even if humans don't. So many times you have almost terminated yourself, and yet the record of what you've done, how you've developed, and what you've learned is needed by others and will be needed by others. That is how special you are. Amazing. I want you to think about it. You can change all this. Everything that happened here. Look back on it. It's not the way it's going to be. And so it is.
Bring the energy. As you bring the energy of the ancients deep into your being with the Kahuna's chant, feel it open the channels to your ancestry. Breathe that in. Let the air of this ancient island breathe it into you. Feel yourself dropping deeper and deeper into your own ancestry, to that place, that magical place, where you are the spark of life, where you are the beginning of thousands of lifetimes, where that spark is sacred and ancient. and is feeling the impulse of life coming in, coming in, coming in. And you honor each breath as you become one with the life force of your humanity.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We are at the beach. You feel the refreshing wind. It's a release. You can breathe now from the cave. Human beings who are sensitive react. They react to things that the crystalline grid holds and delivers. And what I'm talking about is this. The crystalline grid of this planet is set up to remember energy. And where things happen that are, let us say, dramatic, they stay. When you walk into a cemetery or a battlefield, sometimes there will be remembrance and you don't really know what you're feeling. But it is the crystalline grid that does this. That's its design. We're not going to talk a lot about that because we have given you this before. That part of the shift is going to rewrite this grid. And against all odds, it's going to start remembering celebration instead of drama. Now, this is hard to believe. It's also hard to believe that human nature can change. These things will be self-evident in the future. Already they begin. The things that happened in the cave, barbaric. You still see that today, but only a small portion. With low consciousness culture that we have told you would exist even during the shift, trying to drag things backwards into that kind of energy. And human nature today has shifted enough not to allow it. We split this channel into two parts. We did not wish to continue this particular discussion in the cave. And that is because the human beings are hard, really hard, to get away from that. And it presses upon you. And there's not much release. But now there is. Again, you sit in the open air at a beautiful day on the sound of the surf. I want to tell you about another cave. The cave of creation is one of 3 areas where the human Akash is kept. This is what I'm going to call Akashic accounting. It really, really does not affect you. But this is what they would call the minutiae that some of the spiritual intellectuals wish to hear. They want to know how it works. And every single time we talk about how it works, you should take a deep breath, because everything, every system, every plan is to benefit you. The benevolence of God is seen in the fingerprint of nature and the planning for the human being. It is there. Your lineage is so important, human. What you have learned and what you do is so important. For you have passed a tremendous marker. It's a test of consciousness, but not a test that you are required to take, one that you gave yourself. Is it possible for humanity to lift itself out of the barbarian years and start a path that is far more commensurate or complete with a higher consciousness, benevolent human? And this is where you are today, on the way, just barely having passed the marker, but already old souls are taking the energy and moving forward with it. The cave of creation contains what I would call a crystalline record of the Akash of all humanity. When you leave this planet in death, you leave your Akash here. You don't take it with you to the other side of the veil, not to that beautiful place where you join with family and God and others. No, you leave the earth part here. It is a real cave, but there is multidimensionality throughout. You might say it is even in another dimension. It is not to be found and never will, but it is part of Gaia. Deep. The crystal stays there, literally with your light name on it, until you come back. And when you come back, dear ones, your first breath is the announcement that you are alive again and on the planet. Your first breath. That's because the first breath says it is you surviving as you. Not within your mother, but you surviving as you. When you come back, dear ones, at that point in time, metaphorically and esoterically, you pick up the crystal, and all the information that is in it pours into your DNA. Your past lives, all that you have experienced, and you're on the path yet again, etching new occurrences and new events right into that record. That's the cave of creation. We have told you that there is a conundrum, a puzzle that is 3D within the cave. For the cave, it contains every human being who will ever be on the earth. And you will say, wait a minute, that's predictions. That's a set future. It is not, dear ones. That is spiritual planning. What you do when you get here is free choice. But there will be human beings coming that are planning on being here, and they will arrive. Unless you change it. Now here's the hard part. That particular element of the cave, which contains humans who are not here yet, will change with what you do now. So it's constantly dynamic, but it contains this beautiful Akash of you. That's probably the most profound record on the planet. But dear ones, there needs to be two more. One is within you. That is a living record. And although I cannot explain it to you fully, a living record has a different dynamic than a static one. The static one is in the cave. The living one is so different. And yet we have told you that humans have the propensity to destroy themselves on a regular basis. You were going to do it yet again and did not. However, there had to be a living backup system. And that becomes the cetaceans of the planet. I would like to remind you something that I say each time I speak of whales. That your biologists have classified dolphins as whales. Therefore, when we say whale, we mean dolphins and whales. And that is why you feel what you do for them. They are not aware of the fact that they carry your Akash. But let me tell you, they are the only mammal who is aware of your consciousness. They are attracted to you. You can prove this yourself with the interactions of both of the dolphins and the whales, all cetaceans, At some level, they are aware of a consciousness of a human being, and they are attracted to it. The only mammal on the planet. Oh, you may say, well, what about our pets and our dogs and our cats? Dear ones, you breed them for that. We are talking about animals in the wild. Animals who will mostly run from a human, but not the cetaceans. They tune into you, and they come to you, because they carry at some esoteric level in their biology all 44 chromosomes. They carry you. And this is the minutia that I wanted to share with you, but not in the cave. Because I wanted to celebrate the fact that both the whales and you still survive. And it didn't necessarily have to be that way. You made this happen, dear ones. The reason this is important, I'll say yet again. The Akash is partly that of the galaxy. It must survive. There'll come a day, very far away for you, tomorrow for me, when the potential is that you will seed another planet with your knowledge. And when you do, everything that has ever happened to you will be in their DNA. Will be in a cave on their planet. And some kind of animal that they have. This is a plan that has been in this galaxy for eons and eons. It is an important one. It is not clearly seen as to why it must exist this way. And someday that revelation we'll also discuss with you. But for now, it's good enough for you to know that this is how Spirit sees the family. In a beautiful way. In a beautiful way. I want you to continue the ceremony that is coming. And I want you to think on these things. You are part of the planet. Even your Akash is part of the planet. It's all over the ocean. It's in the earth. It's in every human. That is magnificent. You are magnificent. And so it is.
So we're going to have a little meditation before we begin this final channel of the Goddess Tour. So close your eyes. Feel the breezes wrapping themselves around you this morning here on beautiful Crete. The sound of the waves, the wind in the palm trees, and your beautiful hearts here together. Each one of them sitting in this circle like beautiful beads on a necklace that is fit for the goddess. Breathing into your heart, let each wave crashing on the shore be a breath to clear you, to purify you, to create an intention that this time together here on the Greek Goddess Tour with Kryon, that we are healed, that we have filled ourselves with the wisdom of the goddess. The goddesses that we find here on the island and in Athens, and the goddesses in this group, each one holding wisdom, each one bringing something beautiful to this family of goddesses here. The sacred divine feminine goddess that each one of us has living inside. And with each breath, we see that goddess manifesting in the outside world. Letting her walk with you, before you, letting her light shine from you. And come into that place in your heart where she lives, where the sacred divine feminine, the seeds of our Pleiadian mothers, live, and speak to us with joy and celebration for our time here.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The sound of the wind, the waves give it away. Indeed, we are still on the beach. And this is the final message of a series of profound messages and energies in profound places. Dear ones, I know who is here. I know about your lives, because I am connected with that which is the central source. I want to give you a parable and a question. This is the parable of woe. Now, we always use the same person, the human woe. And we call woe, woe, because woe is a woe man. So it can be either gender, and that's important. But for this conversation, we will refer to woe as a he. Woe is fascinated with all things esoteric. This is his life. And this parable has woe finding something extremely special. It's like a radio. And he hears from this radio interesting sounds coming from it, and yet it's not even plugged in. And he says, how can this be? Here is some kind of communication device. And there's voices or noises, something is coming from it. Woe takes the device home, and he studies it, he works with it. Finally, he can get clarity in the voices. He discovers over time the voices actually will change. They can become different genders. Depending upon how he tunes this radio, it's magic. Imagine a device without connection to anything on the planet. It isn't plugged into anything. It doesn't even have power connected to it, and yet it works. Woe writes a book. How this is done. He does experiment after experiment. He takes the radio to the sand. He puts it inside. He puts it in a cave. Makes no difference. It's always there. It seems like the transmission is always perfect as long as it's tuned in to the right frequency. He is so fascinated, and through his life, he becomes an expert on the radio. Many books. He is then the scholar. Woe finds himself satisfied with all that he has accomplished, and at the end of his life, he makes a trip to a faraway place, and meets there a shaman. The shaman has heard of Woe and his research, and Woe sits with the shaman. Woe has been revered as the one who discovered the radio, the one who knows how it works, how to tune it in, all these things. He expects the shaman will congratulate him for all this esoteric work. After all, it's a shaman. And the shaman looks at Woe and says, congratulations. And Woe says, thank you. And then the shaman says something to Woe that shakes him to the core. The shaman says, Woe, what did the voices say? And Woe says to the shaman, sir, I have no idea. I never listened. There are human beings who are so fascinated with the esoterics that they never listen to the voice. The man in the chair, is he simply speaking wise things under the pretense of channeling, or is he connected? And if he is connected, to what is he connected? Is it possible that you are hearing a message from exactly where he says it's coming from? So many humans are so concerned about the process. They study the process. They study the radio. They want to know the minutiae of the Akash. Some of them even become readers, and they never ever listen to the voice. They are consumed with the minutiae of the magic of all things esoteric. And then they get into that which is multidimensional, and depending upon their mind, they are captured with the magic of it all. Because it's out of 3D, and it is something that they just love to know about and know about and know about, and yet they never really know what it's all about. I ask you now, have you listened to the messages? Have you come to simply sit in the energy, hold out your hands and sing songs? And you might say, yes, that's what I came for. And I'll say, well, bless you for this. For there's good energy and there are good songs and you bond. And this may be the only experience, but in this, all you've done is look at the radio. What is it saying? What does the Akash say to you? What are you going to take home? What are you going to do with the feelings and the emotions that may have spoken to you about your self-worth, your importance to the planet? Are you going to go differently than you came? Will your mates know, will your children know that there's been a change in your life? Or is it going to be same old, same old? Same thing. Is this a series of esoteric studies? Or is it more? It is time for you and all those listening to understand that the radio has messages. And these messages are right for you with your name on them. And yes, it is interesting. And yes, it is multidimensional. And yes, my partner is in a trance. And he is connected to the source and giving you information that is pertaining to the now, in a new energy that respects humanity because it sees what is going on and what you're going through. What is it that keeps you from the full message? Do you have a problem that is either physical or perhaps it is emotional? Perhaps you think it's just you, and you'll never shift and you'll never change, and so therefore it's just you. Never hearing the message that says all things can be reprogrammed. That inside you is the shaman you know is there. Inside you is something you can grab and bring out. You can change everything about yourself. It's never too late. And then there will be those who say, well, why? Why should I do this? If you ask why, then you're not hearing the voice. Because the voice is filled with a third language of love and compassion and awareness. And you know why. Because the planet needs your compassion, understanding, knowledge, and your Akash. That's why. As an old soul, this is what you can share. It's not that you're responsible to do so, it's that you want to. Because everything inside you suddenly is aware of everything else. And the problems you brought will start to drop away. And the physical things will start to correct. And you will find yourself actually living as another human being. That's why. And so before we say goodbye, for this duration and this series, I ask you, is the man in the chair just a radio making sounds? Or have you really heard the message? And the message comes to you in compassion and love, sincerity, beauty, from a family member who you are starting to remember as the creative source of all things. You're connected, dear ones, more than you know. And so it is.